Shalom, I'm Igal and this is Middle East in less than 5 minutes. Yesterday, February 28, 2026, Israel and the United States launched the largest military operation against Iran in history. Operation Roaring Lion. Operation Epic Fury. Targets across Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, Kermanshah. The compounds of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei destroyed. Khamenei himself, according to President Trump's post on Truth Social, confirmed dead. Along with him, IRGC Commander Mohammad Pakpour, Defense Minister Aziz Nazirzadeh, Defense Council Head Ali Shamkhani, multiple intelligence chiefs. According to Iranian Students News Agency, thousands of IRGC personnel killed or wounded. This was regime decapitation, and it may have just freed Iran. But here's why we're talking about it today. Mark Carney supported it. The surprise. I have an episode ready about Carney's Davos speech and SAFE initiative. I haven't released it yet, but in it I criticize his partnership with China and Qatar as strategic self-harm. I call SAFE delusional if it's meant to replace American protection. Those criticisms still stand. But yesterday, when it mattered, Carney backed the US. France condemned the strikes. The UK condemned the strikes. Ireland, Spain, Germany, the UN all condemned or equivocated. Canada supports the United States. No hedging, no both sides, just clarity. That's shocking, and it matters. The liberal hypocrisy. But before we talk about Carney, let's talk about who else responded. US Representative Gabe Vasquez condemned the strikes as unconstitutional escalation. Multiple Democratic members of Congress expressed concern about removing the regime. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the use of force by the US and Israel. European progressives protested in London with Hands Off Iran signs. Let me get this straight. The Islamic Republic of Iran, a regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years, killed hundreds of American soldiers via proxies, funds Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis, executes women for not wearing hijab, hangs homosexuals from cranes, tortures dissidents and pursues nuclear weapons. That regime gets defended by progressives?
Wow!
These are the same people who lecture us about women's rights, LGBT rights, democracy and human rights. But Iran women murdered for showing their hair? Silence. Iranian homosexuals executed? Silence. Iranian dissidents tortured in prison? Silence. But the US removes the regime? Concern, condemnation, protests. Why? Because in the progressive framework, America and Israel are always the oppressors. Anyone who opposes them gets a pass. The bigotry of low expectations. When Iran hangs homosexuals, that's their culture. When Iran executes women protesting, we need to understand the context. When Iran funds terrorism, they're responding to American imperialism. But when the US removes the regime, suddenly progressives care about international law, sovereignty, and avoiding conflict. The standard for America and Israel is perfection. The standard for Iran is just existence. That's not moral. That's moral bankruptcy. What are they actually defending? Let's be explicit. Since 2022, Iran has murdered hundreds of women for hijab protests, executed an average of 1 person per day, arrested 15,000 protesters, tortured dissidents with electrical shocks and rape, funded Hamas, funded Hezbollah, funded the Houthis, killed 32,000 protesters in the last months alone, and pursued nuclear weapons while chanting death to America. That's what progressives defended yesterday, while claiming to champion human rights. That hypocrisy is breathtaking. Back to Carney. So why did Carney break from progressive playbook? I see four possibilities. Strategic realism. Maybe Carney recognized Iran as an existential threat. If Iran gets nukes, the Middle East destabilizes. Saudi Arabia gets nukes. Egypt might, Turkey might. Canada can't afford to be on the wrong side of that. Intelligence. Maybe Carney received intelligence about Iran's nuclear progress or imminent attack that made neutrality impossible. Trump's tariff threat. Maybe it's simpler than that. Trump threatened harsher tariffs on Canada, and Carney calculated if I don't back the US on this, those tariffs become reality. Supporting the strikes might be the price of economic access. Or pragmatic hedging. Maybe Carney's strategy is hedge on trade, climate and China policy, but on core security threats side with the US, because Canada still needs American protection. Whatever the reason, or combination of reasons, Carney support sends signal. To the US, Canada is reliable when it matters. To Europe, Canada won't follow your playbook of moral equivalence. To China and Qatar, your partnership with Canada have limits. To progressives, Canada won't defend theocratic brutality. What this means for SAFE? If SAFE was meant to replace American protection, yesterday proved its fantasy. When the moment came, Canada turned to the US. Maybe SAFE supplements the US alliance, but yesterday clarified the hierarchy. The US come first. That's the right priority. Why this happened? According to US officials, negotiations collapsed. Trump offered Iran permanent end to uranium enrichment, limits on ballistic missiles, halt to proxy support. In exchange, sanctions relief, normalization, even free nuclear fuel. Iran rejected it, chose ideology over prosperity, and Trump decided, if they won't negotiate, we'll remove them. Yesterday, they killed Khamenei, decapitated the IRGC and told the Iranian people take over your government. That's the right call. The regime was never going to reform, and Canada supported it. The European contrast. France, the UK, Germany, they condemned Iranian retaliation but refused to endorse the strikes. They called for negotiations. Iran has been pursuing nukes for 20 years. Negotiations have failed. Sanctions haven't worked. Some regimes can be negotiated with. Europe won't admit that. Canada just did. Mark Carney surprised me yesterday. I'm about to release an episode criticizing his Davos speech, China and Qatar partnerships, and SAFE initiative. Those criticisms stand. But on Iran, Carney did the right thing. He backed the US. He supported regime change against a brutal theocracy. Meanwhile, progressives defended that regime while claiming to champion liberal values. They proved their ideology matters more than their principles. Carney proved he won't follow them down that path. If regime change succeeds, if the Iranian people take control, if the Middle East becomes safer, Canada will have been part of that. Not France, not Germany, not the UN, not the progressive activists. Canada, alongside America and Israel. That's worth remembering. I'm Igal and this was Middle East in less than 5 minutes. Until next time, Shalom.